I don't personally have any Tory friends that I'm aware of. But I talk to Tories all the time. I'm very happy talking to people whose views I disagree with. I love arguments. I love debate. I love the idea of trying to persuade people who have different views to mine. It's part of, I love all that kind of thing. I'll argue and discuss with anyone in a very polite and friendly way. But in terms of actually close friendships, to me, people's values are really important. And there are things that the Tory party has done, things for me personally, the way it stoked fears about immigration, the way that it sort of demonised things like the Windrush scandal, and these things...
Which started under a Labour government, we should remember. But...
Well, the Windrush scandal was a Tory policy. The hostile environment was a Tory policy. It was enacted, and
you see, this is where, I'll have a perfectly polite conversation, but if you mislead people and just pretend it was under a Tory government when it started under a Labour government, then I'm going to take issue with you.
It was fueled the way the deportations, the denial of treatment for the health service was under a Tory government. There may have been aspects of that, in terms of people's status and the need requirement for proof of residency and everything else.
Which started in 2004 under Tony Blair.
But the go home vans, the things like this, which are all fueled. It was rocket boosted by the need to slash immigration, which was a David Cameron policy, which was an unachievable target, but which was enthusiastically taken on by Theresa May. I can go back. I can talk about Margaret Thatcher talking about Britain being swamped by immigrants, and the way that the Tory government dealt with the inner city unrest in the 1980s and discrimination against black people. I can talk about all of that. So it's not just the hostile environment. Don't get me wrong. And it's for a reason like that. If someone describes themselves as a Tory, and I would sort of separate that from people who have voted Tory, because they can be floating swing voters who vote one way or the other and are persuaded one way or the other at different times. But someone who sort of believes themselves to fundamentally sign up to conservative values, then I'm sorry, I can't be friends.
I could say the exact same thing about people on the left of politics, about some of the disgusting policies that they support as well. That wouldn't prevent me from being a friend with somebody.
Well, that's your feeling, and maybe you don't. Maybe the values that are that important to you, but it's important to me, and I look back at the things, and I guess I look back at...
no, you are part of the problem, in my view.
I look back at... Sorry?
You are part of the problem, in my view, that you close your mind to people who believe in different things to you, and therefore you can't be friends with them. I find it inconceivable to think in that way.
But that's where you're wrong, you see. I may disagree. I have fundamental disagreements with some people, but I don't close my mind to them. I don't refuse to talk to them. I fully engage with them.
But you regard them as beyond the pale. That's the entire message.
Sorry?
That you regard them as beyond the pale because they happen to believe in different things to you. Well, you clearly do.
You just
said that in the last 5 minutes. Anybody that believes in closed border or sort of controlled immigration, you can't get your head around that.
That's I didn't say anyone who believes in controlled immigration is inherently wrong. I didn't say that. I said what the Conservative Party did by setting an unachievable target and stoking fears of immigration. That's what I talked about, and we are seeing the carnage and chaos of the last few years as a result of that. But I'm very happy to talk to people. I don't have a problem talking to people. I'm talking to you now. I can engage with you. We could even maybe have a drink in the pub or whatever and talk and have a discussion.
I could never be your friend, could I?
No, I wouldn't call you a friend.
No, but I could never be a friend of yours, even if we got on like a house on fire.
Unless I managed to persuade you of the error of your ways, and you, which I would always hold out hope for you.
Unbelievable. I mean, the thing is that friendship goes way beyond politics, and surely you can accept that somebody might have views that you fundamentally disagree with, but you just like them as an individual, so they become your friend. But in your world, that wouldn't be possible.
People are, I can see Boris Johnson is a very funny character. He tells jokes. He could make me laugh, but I just wouldn't count him as a friend because of what he stands for. I could never count him as a friend because of what he stands for.
Could you count Jeremy Corbyn as a friend?
I could have Jeremy Corbyn
even though
as a friend. I think
tolerated anti-Semitism in the Labour Party for 4 years and done bugger all about it.
There's so much. Let's not have a discussion about that. But Jeremy Corbyn has been
because it's inconvenient to your argument, isn't it?
No, Jeremy Corbyn is someone, and I don't want to. There's no point discussing Jeremy Corbyn because he's like a past leader now. But when people like myself, black people, Irish people, gays, were all being vilified by the press and by the Tory government, then he stood by people like me.
And he was taking 20 grand from the Iranian government on Press TV who push gays off roofs. He stood by people like us when we were being vilified by people like the Tory party. Well, he didn't stand for people like me who could be chucked off a roof in Iran. He was taking 20 grand off the Iranian government. So you can't really throw that one at me.
Well, I mean, talking about, you can talk about little small points like that, but he stood by
a small point.
As a matter of that's a particular thing.
Yeah, it really is.
Over the years,
I'd say quite an important one.
Sorry, but I mean, over the years he has stood by people like us when we've been discriminated against and denied opportunities, and he stood by people like me. It's not some kind of by association or whatever, or third party or whatever, or indirect links to someone who's linked to someone who's linked to someone. He stood by people like me, and that was really significant, and that mattered. And when at a time when the Tory government was refusing to let schools teach about gay equality, even to teach about the LGBT issues at all, at the time when it was discriminating and happy to discriminate against ethnic minorities. That to me says a lot, and that's why there's a history there. But I don't, and there's been sort of more moderate Tories for a while.
And there's a history of him sort of consorting with the IRA, Hamas, Hezbollah. I mean, sort of nobody's perfect, I suppose.
Well, I mean, Ian Paisley consorted with the IRA in the end because that's how peace
not when
came
they were
to
bombing people,
Northern Ireland. How peace came to Northern Ireland.
Not when they were bombing people, he didn't.
Well, Tony Blair did, Edward Heath did, John Major did. They've all talked to the IRA at those times in a bid to bring peace. So, I mean, this is going over old stuff, but I'm just saying in terms of, we can have arguments and we can disagree, and I'm happy to have discussions like this. But if we're talking about friendship, then I think that's, to me, that's about values, and I need to feel I can share people share my values.
To coin a phrase, we will part as friends.
Thank you.